Alright, my name is Slide Drum, and I absolutely love co-op shooter games. A while back, the Swedish developers at Double Moose Games announced their third title, Abyssus, a deep sea and Aztec-inspired take on the genre. I played the Steam Next Fest demo for it a while back, and I really enjoyed it. Ever since then, I've been looking forward to the full game coming out, and just a few days ago, on August 12th, it did! Since then, I've put about 10 hours in the game so far, so this will be more of a first impressions video rather than a proper review, as I don't feel like I have enough time with it yet to cast any real judgment on it, but I still have a lot to say about it. Before we dive too deep, I want to start off by saying, despite the fact that a lot of this video will have quite a negative slant, Abyssus is a fantastic game, and I strongly recommend it if you're a fan of the genre. Also, if you're a fan of the genre, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more Abyssus and co-op shooter content. Let's start with the first thing you'll see, the visuals. This game looks really nice. Some of the later levels look absolutely stunning, and while I have a very high-end system, I didn't encounter any performance or technical issues with my time playing. However, a few of the people I was playing with did crash once or twice. Overall, I really liked the visual style. The theme of deep-sea diver and Aztec architecture is quite unique and done very well. It's distinct and doesn't distract from the gameplay at all. While the art style is great, the visual clutter is not. There is a lot of stuff going on at once. Explosions, particle effects, AoE damaging zones, and it can seriously get in the way of parsing what's going on, especially with 4 players. While this is admittedly a very common problem with games like this, it's still an issue. I spent way too much of my time relying on health bars to know where enemies are. All of this not only takes away from the pretty visuals, but it also makes it harder to actually play the game. However, despite the visual clutter, Abyssus actually does a pretty good job of making important things that are going to damage you visible and relatively easy to follow. There are large red zones on the floor that tell you exactly where you shouldn't stand, and enemy attacks have a consistent and easy to pick up visual language that's consistent from the first enemy you fight all the way until the final phase of the final boss. Speaking of bosses, the game has quite a few of them, particularly in the second half of the game. Honestly, I feel like there could be some more normal non-boss levels near the end, but that's not what we got. All bosses are very unique and really fun to fight, with multiple stages, weak points, and varied attacks. Though you will fight them all a lot. There's little to no randomization when it comes to bosses, biomes, and even standard encounters. You'll go through the same areas with the same enemies in the same order dozens of times over. This game expects you to beat a full run, which takes about an hour, many times over, to unlock maximum difficulty. While runs that take a whole hour sounds like a long time, it honestly feels pretty good here, and that's not my complaint about it. It's how similar they all are. These kinds of games rely on randomizations and combining lots of different factors together to create interesting and unique encounters. As a great example, look at Deep Rock Galactic, a game with only 9 mission types, with the exact same objectives every single time. But in Deep Rock, each mission feels wildly different, because of the randomized caves, enemy variety, and side objectives. Abyssus doesn't really have that. It does have some modifiers that adds new phases and features, but that's just adding on top, not actually adding variety. While the level randomness isn't so great, the in-match progression is awesome, and it does a great job of keeping things fresh for each run. What cool builds have you gotten? Let me know in the comments. Before you load into a mission, you can select your weapon, a primary and secondary attack for that weapon, and an ability, like a grenade. The game has quite a large variety of unique and interesting weapons, all of them with varied primary and secondary attacks that barely overlap with their functions. And once you dive into the depth, you'll be able to apply one of many different elemental effects to all 3 of your attacks, or, as the game calls them, blessings. Then you can upgrade those blessings over time throughout the match. These blessings are more than just fire, earth, air, and water elements. They're things like shadow, that focuses on debuffing enemies you hit, or Ocean that creates temporary tentacle turrets that chuck stuff at enemies. Each upgrade for each element is randomized and unique. This part of the game takes a page from Vampire Survivors, and it works very well here. You have many different stations that you encounter during a level that allow you to do things like gamble your money for randomized items, sacrifice your health for a larger health pool, upgrade your weapon directly, and several others, along with standard shop rooms like you'd expect from these games. The blessings and in-game progression is probably the best part of the game right now. If you like the look of Abyssus, I included it in my video of 8 upcoming games you should know about. Check it out in the card now. Abyssus has an extensive difficulty modifier system. It's super cool. It allows you to customize exactly what kind of challenge you want. I love this. Abyssus doesn't fall into the common trap of adding difficulty just by adding more. More health, more damage, and more enemies. Instead, we have things like taking damage makes you lose money, or enemies have a chance of spawning an unkillable ghost version of themselves when they die. This is a fantastic system that I really like a lot, despite the fact that I haven't actually experimented with it much because I haven't unlocked a lot of it. However, to enable just one of these effects that increase the difficulty, you need to complete a full run, and without some upgrades, that's going to be a very difficult task. Despite the fact that it takes a while to unlock, if you're on your own or with a consistent group of friends, this system works quite well. It means, in theory, the challenge will gradually ramp up as you get more comfortable with the game and beat more and more runs. My main issue with it, though, is how slow you unlock these modifiers. If you want to jump into high difficulty right away, you just can't. You're forced to beat the game at least 4 times before you really get to customize your difficulty. That's about 4 hours, assuming you beat each run on the first try every time. Unless you're getting carried by people who've played the game more than you, that's just not going to happen. Speaking of being carried, the first few times I beat a run, it was only because I got completely carried by the randoms that joined me. There were some bosses I effectively didn't even get to fight at first because they died way too fast. Getting more powerful is obviously a lot of fun. Going from weak and struggling to dominating bosses in under a minute is a great time. But that means that experienced players are going to completely carry the runs of new players in a way that's just not fun for me. This is not an issue in a lot of other games. For example, in Helldivers 2, not only can you relatively quickly get into harder missions, despite them being locked at first, but players with more time and unlocks are still on a relatively even power level to a new player. They might have slightly shorter cooldowns and stuff, but the thing that makes them more powerful is the fact that they have a huge amount more options. The skill gap between a new player and experienced one in Helldivers is huge, but the power gap between them is a lot smaller. In my opinion, this is a good thing for games like this. It allows for experienced players to play with new ones without ruining the experience of new players. Abyssus just doesn't work like that, sadly. You do get to pick your loadout, and the mid-match power progression is super awesome, like I said. Both of those systems are great for power balance between players. But the way skills and permanent progression is handled doesn't work nearly as well in my opinion. Your skill tree can be completely filled up in about 10 hours-ish. There are no skill builds to craft. You can just have everything. I think that's a super missed opportunity. I think it would be a lot more fun to have to pick and choose exactly what type of skills you take and what you sacrifice. This would also help a lot with the power gap problem. At this point though, if the devs tried to take away so much power from players, I don't think it would go over so well. So I don't expect this to be changed. I'm not trying to say this is fundamentally bad. There are positives to this system, but for me, I strongly dislike the way this system works. That's just my opinion though. And when I say opinion, I mean there's no correct way to do this. Opinions, fundamentally, by definition, cannot have a right answer. For example, you can't have the opinion that trans people don't exist. There's a correct answer to that. They do exist. But you can have an opinion that having a large power gap in a video game like this is not as fun as it could be. And I do have that opinion. Enough ranting though. Let's talk about some of the smaller things that Abyssus does right. Every time you do just about anything in this game, there will be a ready-up system. Once everyone is ready, it'll start the mission or continue to the next encounter or whatever else it is. No yelling at someone for pressing the button on Molly before they should have. And if someone doesn't ready up, no problem. The team will automatically move on after a short time. This is fantastic. The only part of the system I don't like is that we shouldn't move from the lobby to a run itself unless the host is ready. I went to the bathroom between runs, and when I came back, we were already mid-mission. In my opinion, that shouldn't happen. However, despite me staying behind, I was still not in any danger. Once an encounter starts, doors close, and a portal opens up on the outside, letting whoever wants to start early do that, but still letting anyone who wants to look at their loot for a little longer do that too. I really like this system, though a line on the floor to know exactly when the encounter is going to start would be a very nice touch. These mechanics together do a very good job of keeping players together, while still letting everyone move at their own pace. Another one of the great parts of Abyssus is the way unlocks work. This game doesn't have a traditional experience track or level ups like most games do. Instead, almost everything is based on completing challenges. Do you want to unlock a different primary attack for your weapon? Complete a challenge dedicated to it. This extends to skins too. So if you see someone with a cool outfit, that means they actually did something cool to get it. Most gameplay unlocks I was getting just by playing the game normally. Nothing too crazy. This system is not as frustrating as it could have been. This is nothing like Payday 3's challenge system when that game launched. To unlock most of the weapons in the game, the associated challenge is simply to find it. Some of them are pretty easy, like the revolver that's literally sitting next to the loadout station. Wait, was it just sitting there? Was that there the whole time? Somehow my dumbass still somehow missed it for 5 whole hours. Some of them are relatively well hidden, but none of them are hard to unlock or frustrating to find out, even without a guide. I really appreciate secrets and things that aren't handed to you directly. I hope this game expands on the secrets and hidden stuff. Maybe they already did, and I just don't know about it yet. Speaking of future content, Abyssus is not in early access. However, the developers have already confirmed they're working on 2 post-launch updates. And they've even committed to making all future gameplay content included with your original purchase, instead opting to support further development with cosmetic DLC packs. The first one is out now for only $5. I hope this strategy works out for them, as it's very consumer first, and I really appreciate that. There will be a roadmap for the game soon, but we haven't seen that at the time of writing. I am really looking forward to see what's next for Abyssus. I hope Double Moose can address some of the major complaints I have with the game, because despite all the negatives, they really do have something special here. What do you think about Abyssus? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more Abyssus and co-op shooter content. Would you like to see me make more videos about this game? Once I put more time into it, I might release a full review? I could also make some guides on this game. It has a lot of mechanics that are very poorly explained. However, sadly, unlike Mycopunk, I don't have an effective way to read the game code and see exactly how things work. So that kind of thing might take a little longer. This was my first dedicated video on a game other than Mycopunk. Thank you so much for watching till the end. My name is Slydrum, and I will see you all later.